Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining the Castles of Burgundy. So this is the Castles of Burgundy, the upgraded edition. It came out in 2019. I'm releasing this probably New Year's Eve into 2022. I'm very aware that I'm a few years late. I've had an awful time trying to get my hands on this. I've been trying to get my hands on this version of the game for a really long time, since it got announced pretty much, and it's just taken forever for it to actually get in. I live in Australia and all that stuff, so please forgive the lateness of this. This version has all of the expansion material in it. I am just doing the Gamesplanation for the base game. I'm not going to worry about the expansion material. That's something for you to discover when you come across it. But I feel like it's worth doing a Gamesplanation of this game anyway. So what is Castles of Burgundy about? The whole idea of the game is there is a set of tiles that you can purchase, that everyone can purchase, should I say, sitting in the middle of the table. You then have your own board that you're trying to build into. So you purchase a tile to build onto your own board, and you can only build on your own board using a number on the dice. So dice are rolled, whatever die is available, that's the number of the space you're able to build on. So it gets really crunchy because suddenly you're stuck with, oh, I really want to put that piece in, but I can only put that piece in with a 2, but there's only a 5 available to me, so I'm going to have to use a 5 there rather than the 2. And that means I've got to put in something somewhere else. There's a lot of crunch of that type of level on this game. This game has multiple parts. So the whole idea is there's a castle in the middle. You have to build out from the castle. You can build into the sea, into the farm, into the this, the that. And each thing scores slightly differently and gives you different benefits. So what I found is on my original play of this game, I went in for the farm, which if you can get the same type of animal into your farm, you get to score the same type of animal every time. So if you get a tile that has 3 pigs on it, for example, you get 3 points. If you put in a tile with 4 pigs at a later stage into the same farm area, you're getting 7 points, 4 plus 3. Then if you put a 2 in, you're getting 9 points. And you can build up. And so going after that level of scoring, once you get into the large farm area, is really important that everything's the same, because that's going to give a very large score on the last time through. That's just one way to go. That only works if people aren't thinking, oh, you need pigs. As soon as someone realizes that you're going after all the pigs, they might grab the pig early, and so you're stuck not able to actually fulfill that potentially. So it's one of those things where if everyone's watching what everyone else is doing, it's really hard to do the farm. Whereas if no one's really paying that much attention and they're just doing their own thing, it's actually relatively easy to do the farm, and that's one of the strategies towards a winning position. There are others that will get some endgame points for what else you have on your board, and knowing what you need to get and building them up to get as many endgame points as possible, that's really important and really good way to go as well. There's so many different methods of building towards this, and each thing that you put in does something slightly different, and kind of when you build it on your own board, it enables you to do a thing. Each thing will do differently, and I'll go through each of these in the Gamesplanation for what they actually do, but just be aware that each element, each different type of land is treated differently. This game is really similar to Castles of Tuscany, which I gamesplayed a few months back by the same designer, Stefan Feld, and so they are in essence the same essence of the game, but they play vastly differently. And I think I was talking about that in the introduction of Castles of Tuscany, that they're really similar, but they have their differences. I think that Castles of Tuscany is an easier game to get your head around in terms of all the stuff that needs to go on, because it's not just a matter of take the tile and place the tile. It's a take the tile with the number that you're able to do. Okay, so that's in that area. That's one action. Another action is use the number to place the tile that you've taken onto the board. And so there's this multiple step process to actually get things onto your board. It's really worthwhile kind of thinking about, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that can go on. There's packaging box things, I can't remember what they're called, please forgive, but if you take a number that is that area, you can pick up all of the packaging stuff and place it onto your board, and when you've got a heap, you can ship them, and that gives you a whole bunch of points or and a money. And there's different ways to get some money, and money will enable you to purchase from the black market, which is that middle area of the board, and you can purchase at any time during your turn, before you do your thing with another tile or with another die, or after, that doesn't matter. So if you're really desperately wanting to get to this space but you don't have the linking thing, you can take a piece in. That will enable you to put in a linking piece. There's so much going on with this game and so many different paths to potential victory. And I think that's what I really like about this game. It's one of these games that I think everyone should have played by now, but it's kind of just, when it hits the table, you go, oh yeah, okay, this is how I won last time. And you have the choice of following that path again. You may not win, depends on what the other people are doing. Or you can follow another path towards the victory. And I think the number of players at the table changes the path that you're going to follow fairly dramatically. So I played this as a 2-player experience just recently. A long time back I played it as a 4-player experience. The way of play and what you've got to think about will change with the number of players, because I can look at the board and go, okay, I want that number and that number, and there's only a single chance that someone else is going to take it. Whereas on the 4-player game, that number and that number, but by the time it gets back around to you, 3 other people have had a go. So there's a chance that the one that you wanted to do isn't going to be there anymore. So you've got to prioritize. What's the most important thing for me to do in this round? The game itself only lasts for, I think it's 5 rounds from memory. It's a relatively small number of rounds, but there's so much going on to kind of get your head around. I fear that this is a little bit heavier than it looks like it probably should be or would be. That's not a criticism. I actually quite like that. But if you put it against Castles of Tuscany, Castles of Tuscany is a lighter game, Castles of Burgundy a touch heavier. And it's just in the manipulation of this dice thing. I do wonder if Tuscany came out in response to the overall feel of let's try and get away from dice kind of vibe or kind of idea. So there's that. There's a lot going on with that thought process with how to use the dice. Like, this isn't a dice game per se. You have ways to manipulate the die up or down by spending some stuff. You can manipulate that die roll. That's absolutely fine. I really appreciate that. The dice don't tell you, oh, you can move this many. And I think that's actually the issue with dice games, is that people are so used to, if I roll a 3, I can move 3 spaces kind of games, that when you have dice in a game that aren't that, they actually speak really nicely and they work really well, and I really appreciate them. But we're so ingrained in this roll and move thing from games that are outside of the genre of all this gaming stuff, that I think that we see dice and we instantly think roll and move, whereas how are they going to use those dice? I think that needs to be the thought process behind it, not more dice games. This is a good game. I really appreciate this, even though it has dice. Just throwing it out there. The only one that's gone close to roll and move with that nurse of it out of Stefan Feld, as far as I'm aware, is Merlin. That's just my personal opinion. Others may have other opinions on it. I know there's ways to manipulate that and move around with that, but let's push that to the side. I do think that one is a roll and move game. This one, however, is roll, and that kind of pushes you towards various things on the board. So look, I'll leave it there. Please go ahead and watch my Gamesplay and Gamesplanation to get a feel for the game and how it plays. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games that I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.